Let me ask you a simple question. If a potential client looked at your clinic on their phone and then compared it with three others locally, would they immediately understand why to choose you? Or would it all feel quite similar? Because that's what I want to explore today. Not just a problem, but a much more effective way of thinking about how you grow a clinic in a market that's as competitive as this one. So to highlight the problem, I typed in Botox clinic in London into a search engine and randomly selected half a dozen different clinics to compare their home pages. So here's the first one, Skin Science, that said they are a skin and hair revival specialist. Here's another clinic that came up, the Omnia Clinic, that basically on its homepage says leading skin, cosmetic and hormone clinic in London. The London Lip Clinic claims to be London's best aesthetic cosmetics clinic, specialising in lip fillers and anti-wrinkle treatments. Then we have Phi Clinic in London claiming to be the best non-surgical London cosmetic clinic. The Botox and Fillers Clinic, London, claims to offer premium medical aesthetics. And finally, Cosmetic Skin Clinics offers first-class service for cosmetic and medical skin conditions. So you can see the problem here. From a client's perspective, this can start to blur into one. Same treatments, same claims, same language. And this isn't really because clinics are doing anything wrong. It's because they're all trying to communicate value in the same way. And when everything looks the same, something very predictable happens. Clients default to comparison. And when they compare, price often becomes a decision-making point. Not because it's the most important factor, but because it's really the easiest one to measure. And this isn't standing still, it's actually accelerating. There are more clinics entering the market, more visibility through social media, and now AI, which makes it easier than ever to create, in theory, good marketing. But when everyone can produce good content, very few people sound different, and that's the issue. This isn't really just a pricing problem, it's a differentiation problem. And if you solve the differentiation piece, price comparison becomes less of an issue. Because ultimately, clients aren't buying treatments, they're choosing who they trust. They're deciding, do I feel comfortable here? Do I believe these people understand me? Do I trust them with my face or body? And that's an emotional decision, and emotion doesn't respond well to sameness. So what actually creates difference? It's not just what you do, it's what you stand for. And the clinics that avoid getting pulled into price competition are usually clearer on what they represent, and that's much, much harder for competitors to copy. This is something that we explored a lot in my 15 years of running a medical aesthetic clinic called Medizen in the Midlands alongside Dr. David Eccleston. Once we'd done whatever we could to evidence that we were at genuinely a premium clinic for the services that we offered, we then started to look at other ways we could be different. And at the time, we didn't really sit down and say, let's do cause-led marketing, but we consistently got involved in community events, charity initiatives, and local activities. This ranged from recognising and participating in nationally led causes to help raise money for charity, such as Comic Relief or Macmillan Coffee Mornings. And this created a bit of excitement in the clinic for the staff, who would maybe bake some cakes or biscuits, and resonated with people who were coming into the clinic that day as a business who were interested in doing something to contribute. It was also something that we could use on social media as content that was different. We were also an early adopter of the buy one, give one concept. It was launched in 2007 by an accountant, and it was actually specifically designed for micro giving for a variety of projects around the world and tailored exactly at small business owners. And we would donate a small proportion of every annual package that was sold to buy one, give one. In practice, we totted up the money that was going to be allocated to buy one, give one on a monthly basis, and then decided as a team which projects we would support that month. But in my opinion, some of the most effective things we did as a business was related to raising money for local community-based initiatives. For instance, local half marathons, mud runners, or other local charity events that we could visibly support. And one of the biggest things that we did every year was a themed annual charity ball, where we partnered with a local wedding venue who provided the venue for free, and then we sold tickets that would cover the cost of the food. We would often find local entertainment, some who actually did it for free from within our client database. And money raised for charity came from an auction of promises or items donated, such as signed footballs from Aston Villa Football Club, or donated spa retreats, or meals from local restaurants. We sometimes even auction a course of hydrofacials. As well as being a great practitioner, Dr. David Eccleston was also an accomplished cook, and sometimes he even auctioned himself to cook a meal at someone's house for up to 8 people. Every year the audience for these charity balls grew, and sometimes our clients would bring along their friends, which would also expose themselves to medicine in a nice and very different way. And the money that we raised as well increased over the years. So sometimes we were giving £5,000 to £10,000 to local charities. And occasionally as well, we also got mentioned in the local press. There are numerous benefits to being involved in activities that where you interact with the local community in a way that's not just about what you do as a business. And the obvious one really is purpose. And I think that also resonates with the team as well, as the team also see that you're interested in doing other things outside of just making money. And the team normally love getting involved in something that they care about as well personally, if you involve them in the decision-making process. It definitely helps you more broadly in the local community to make your business more noticeable. It gives you a lot more content to put on social media and potentially engage with local press. And ultimately, all of these things together help you to differentiate your clinic for existing and prospective clients. Now, this definitely is not some sort of quick fix marketing strategy, but gradually over time, it compounds, and it really expressed the values of medicine and that we stood for more than just making a profit from the treatments that we offered. And over time, we started to attract people who were less focused on price and more aligned with the clinic. And in many cases, they arrived already trusting us because they felt we were also an active member of their local community. There are also benefits with staff as well. More team engagement, and also we stood out as well when we were recruiting as a clinic, again, that also did something different from the norm. Another great example of expressing your personal values through your business is demonstrated by Miss Lubna Khan Salim, who's a plastic surgeon in Yorkshire, and she runs a clinic called It's Time to Bloom. She's incredibly passionate about sustainability, and she's built a clinic from the bottom up to actually evidence this, including repurposing a shipping container where she actually does her consults and injectable treatments. She's also the only clinic owner I know who's tried to become B Corp certified. It's not an easy thing to do, but B Corps are for-profit companies verified by B Lab to meet high standards of social and environmental performance, accountability and transparency. And on that note, for those of you who are interested in resilience as a country, the People's Emergency Briefing is very current. This is a film that's based on a national level briefing where scientists presented evidence directly to 1,000 peers, MPs and business leaders in Westminster around climate change, flood, nature, food and energy security, health and economics. These are being screened all over the country, and the aim of the campaign isn't just awareness, it's to get this evidence in front of decision makers and start more informed conversations at both a local and national level, eventually leading to building support for a government-backed televised emergency briefing to the nation. This is something that you could either point your clients towards or even do a screening in your own clinic if you so choose. Another thing, if you have particular expertise or pieces of equipment that are useful for things like acne scarring, port wine stains, etc., is to do some pro bono work like a Fire Clinic here in London. And here's a left brain way of interacting with your local community. And this is actually my daughter who runs a clinic called Authentic Aesthetics in Warwickshire. She loves country line dancing and she'd always wanted to lead an event. And eventually she found a local pub that she could partner with that had space, and she promoted the event for free through all of her social media, and they promoted the event as well through the pub, and she had over 80 people come there. Again, slightly different, but she's very passionate about that, and that came across as somebody seeing Zoe in a very different way from her professional capacity. In fact, also, when I was talking to her about doing this talk, she also said that someone had chosen her clinic because she also talks a lot about sustainability. And in fact, I wrote an article on this about a year or so ago when she went from a brand that wasn't very sustainable in terms of packaging to a brand that actually had more sustainability credentials, and how she'd given the reasons for doing that and converted about 95% of the people from that original skincare line to the new one that was more sustainable, which is interesting, showing how powerful that message can be, particularly when people are wedded to skincare for obvious reasons. So to pull this together, this actually isn't really about doing charity, and it's not even really about PR. It's about making your own personal values visible. It's about giving people a reason to feel something about your clinic before they even walk through the door. And this is where it becomes commercially important. Trust goes up. Clients stop feeling like they potentially need to shop around if they resonate with your values. And over time, you build stronger retention and more referrals. And as we've seen, these initiatives can take lots of different forms, from events to partnerships, community involvement, give back initiatives. But at the end of the day, these are just vehicles that should really ideally reflect your underlying values so that they're authentic. So AI can also be useful in helping you to pull this together. And for those of you who subscribe to my weekly AI newsletter, you'll know that I think AI is not just great for creating content, but it's really good for thinking, structuring, and implementing ideas consistently. And I'm not going to go into detail here, but obviously you will have a prompt document that goes alongside this video as well that you can use to help guide you through using AI with this process if you want to. But in practice, it's a pretty simple framework, really. You need to just clarify what you stand for, plan something practical, express it consistently, and then refine it over time. That's it. Simple, but really very effective when done properly. So if you take anything from this, just start here. What do you actually care about? What would your team feel engaged with? And what would resonate with your clients in your local area? You don't need 10 ideas. You just need one that you actually follow through on. Because in a world where marketing content is becoming easier and easier to create, meaning is one of the few things that isn't. And that's where your personal advantage sits. And the clinics that will prosper won't be the cheapest. They'll be the ones that stand for something.